Amiga presents a Playtime video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present Quik.
Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present another video review by Lemon Amiga. This time we'll be looking at the 1991 New Bits on the RAM public domain classic Quik and Silva, edited and coded by the same guys who did Turrican. So there's only one level in this game. It's called Funnyland, the day and the night level, so let's dive in and take a look at it. Quik and Silva is a very polished public domain platform game in the same vein as Super Mario, and with similar kind of destructible blocks, stars in platforms, and different an array of enemies. Straight away you might notice that the enemies resemble quite a few classic Amiga games. And I'm going to try this with a single fire button, not auto fire. And as you can see, some of the enemies are pretty hard without auto fire. So let's try it again. Again, the game doesn't come with a built-in auto fire. And if you press fire very, very rapidly, the auto fire is quite limited and quite slow. And some of these enemies take some time to knock out and kill. And this kind of spoils the game a little bit. Let's try and get rid of the monster again. No, I can't do that. So let's start again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present Quik.
This time we'll try it with auto fire on, and let's see if that makes a considerable difference. And it does. Now the enemies can be polished off so much more easily, and the player can progress through the level so much quicker. And let's get back to that difficult stage again. This is level 1, and to get through those guys, that's all you do. So as you can see, this game is a game of two halves. The normal fire mode, which is really difficult and it's really slow and the enemies are quite tough to beat, and the auto fire game, which is a wonderful game. It's a breeze to get through and very colourful, very bright, and the auto fire game is an absolute dream. So for the rest of this review, let's play it with auto fire on. So you may have noticed already that the selection of characters in this game resemble classic Amiga titles. You'll see the Bubble Bobble Dino in there, the fish from Turrican, Pogo is there from Nebulous, the Apedia bees there, and everything in between. There are Sonics and Marios and Guyana sisters. So straight away the player will surmise this is kind of a homage to the Amiga scene and to the platform genre in general. The feel and the style and the polish of this game is really superb, particularly for a public domain title. The scrolling is amazing. There are 2 levels of power-ups, small, medium or large, and I've got the maximum power-up, which gives me 6-way spread fire, and this is enough with auto fire. As I say, this is enough to get rid of the enemies and to make this game really highly addictive. There are a number of standard platform pitfalls to negotiate: hidden platforms, leaps of faith, round robins, no way backs, destructible platforms, you name it, it's in there. So that's level 1 complete. Let's have a look at level 2. level 2 takes place in the caves of Funnyland, and similar kind of things. It's worth destroying those destructible platforms there, just in case there are any bonuses in there. You can find power-ups and bonus pills, and also extra lives occasionally in there as well, so it's always worth destroying those just to see what's in there. But be careful, because some of those, once you destroy them, there is no way back, and you'll need some of those platforms to get to where you're going. This game isn't very forgiving if you destroy a platform that you need to survive, and it requires an escape or a restart. So here we are, further on the level, the Pac-Man and the Guyana sisters and the Teenage Turtles there all help to polish the game, as well as R-type things. And the good thing is, when you restart after dying, the game doesn't take you back that far, so you can really jump straight back into the action. You will lose one level of power-up, but there are plenty of power-ups available on every level, particularly through the hidden or destructible sections, so it's well worth finding those and powering up to maximum. And some of the enemies are possible to get, some of the crystals aren't. You can see those 2 red crystals are impossible to get without dying, and that's just the challenge of the game. You will work out what to do and where to go. So anybody familiar with the platform genre will be instantly at home with this game, assuming they have also fire, and progress can be made very, very quickly once the player gets to know where they're going, and with a decent auto fire joystick like what I have got, the game is really smooth. It's really a dream to get through. So this is the second section completed now. I won't bother getting all those crystals. Let's have a look at level 3, and it's back to the day-like levels. So you might be thinking this game is pretty linear, but on the contrary, this game is quite diverse. On every level it will show the player a new way of avoiding a trap, or a new trick to negotiating the level. Some of those platforms are, as I say, you can't get to them. There are sometimes tricks to get to certain bonuses, sometimes there aren't. The game likes to lure you over pits of spikes and leaps of faith over pits of death, and this is kind of one of them. This is the trick to getting past this stage is to jump right over the top of it and then tackle it again from the underneath. There are plenty of bonuses on this section as well, so that's that one. Don't try and jump back to the beginning again, or else you'll find that you can't get any further. And yeah, the levels are really diverse. Every level will introduce the player to another trick, and we will see some of those later on. With auto fire, the enemies are easy, so let's get rid of those stars, and we can also try to remove the blocks, and in there we find an extra life, so I'm up to 6 lives already, and it's worth finding and preserving those extra lives. You also get an extra life every 30,000 or so, which is also worth bearing in mind. And here we are on level 4. It's another cave level. So what we find on here are destructible platforms, and there is no way back. I had to do a very quick round robin to get rid of that Ninja Turtle, and that's the tricky part of the level. Done with that Ninja Turtle, sometimes he can catch you out, and it's worth remembering how to do that bit. And the Guyana sisters rolling obstacles there. So as I say, it's worth exploring all the levels to find all the bonuses and avoid as much as possible going for all the gems, because they really are difficult to collect them all, and there are some that you can't collect, and things like this, jumping over spikes, quite tricky actually. So let's skip on through, let's have a look at level 5. And as you saw, the bee is impossible to kill on this level, so on this stage it introduces characters which are hard, if not impossible to kill, and little quirks like the gems in the tree there. So you can see another ninja turtle, he can't be killed. You can select gems and you can kill this pogo, but looking at this gem there, you can't collect that one. And then it's a leap of faith, so let's see if we can do this one. It really does require you to leap into the unknown, and there's a destructible platform, so if you don't make the leap of faith, that's it, you have to go back and do it again. And if you've destroyed the destructible platform, sometimes that can be a little bit of a bug. Sometimes you die and you can't get back to where you were before because you've destroyed the platform. But in general, the game's quite fair. I'm down to 1 life now and 1 set of firepower, so sometimes if you are on the lower firepower, it's sometimes best to avoid the enemies rather than wading in there. And it won't be long before I pick up another power up. This section is interesting because of the array of level designs. There are buildings with roofs made out of gems, and there are vehicles and even a church later on as well. And this is interesting with the ore type. You have to, if you have 3-way fire, you can destroy these, but if you don't, you really have to run, jump and pray that you won't hit one of those halfway through this section. So let's get over that and clear this van. And again, it's sometimes best to avoid enemies if you only have limited firepower, but the good thing is you can scroll in either direction, and so it is possible to retrace your steps as long as you don't find these destroyable platforms and find that your steps have already been destroyed. And that comes in handy when you find this section, platforms which you must destroy to get to the next section. So this game is really quite clever, in fact cleverer than Turrican, with some of the traps and the layout of the levels, and the cartoon graphics and the quirkiness of the game really does shine through. And for all those hard work and all that hard effort, you are rewarded on this section with a huge rake of gems. So let's collect all those up, dive in there and pick all those up. So that really does give the player a good sense of satisfaction, and it helps the longevity of the game as well, just with those bonuses. In fact, let's get that star as well while we're here, and then that's another level completed. So there's a good level of player satisfaction and reassurance on the game. So this is the last level I will show you today, and again, let's pick up that power up and then we can get through these sections. You have to watch spikes on some sections. Some of the clouds you can jump onto, some of them you can't, and there are hidden blocks as well that you have to look out for. But you might think this is quite an amateur game for kids really, and because it's been given away on cover disc, that might tell you that the game is pretty easy, but far from it. Look at this section, you have to just negotiate your way through all these spikes. If you touch any of the spikes on that section, you die. So this isn't really a game for novices, this is a game for hardened platformers. Look at this section, it gives you an extra life, so let's collect it. But we are unable to go any further than that because we've destroyed our own platform. So let's try that again. But on sections like that, as long as you pick up the extra life every time, you can keep on going back and back and back however many times you feel like it. because your lives will go up. Even if you destroy the life, you haven't really lost anything. So let's get over that section and find a stockade here with the usual array of enemies, and the homage to the Amiga aspect with all these different types of enemies, the Turrican droids there, really do enhance the cutesy feel of this game. They don't make it any easier, but they certainly do inspire the game and the feel of the game. Very nice copy drawn graphics there, nice fading background effect, which helps the polish of the game, and it might have been worth coding this as a full price game actually. So we're now coming on to the hardest section of the game. This is what I like to call the telegraph poles, and if you do this section right, then you can more or less write the ticket to the end of the game. If you do this section wrong, then you really can sap lives away, particularly if you die twice and you end up running out of power-ups, but you can collect extra power-ups there. So let's see if we can do that again. It requires scrolling the thing onto the screen, round robin, and destroy the fish, but also scrolling a bee on there, hopefully, so you can destroy it, and then getting over that section. And then that's basically, you can write your ticket to the end of the game from this section. But that doesn't mean it's a completely easy ride either. Look at this, another leap of faith to get through, and more destroyable blocks. And even after this hard section with the telegraph poles, you still get sections like this with destroyable blocks, and sections you really have to do things in the right order. And again, this is the final section of the game I'll show you. You have to make really microscopic jumps over those spikes, otherwise it's game over. And something tells me I'm not going to be able to make that. Let's have another go. Let's see if we can make that again. So the sound is brilliant on Quik and Silva. I like the speech. I love the ladies and gentlemen bit at the beginning, and the go really helps to get the player moving. And at the end of the game, you can enter your name on the high score table, and these can be saved to disk. So thank you for viewing Quik and Silva.